You're listening to the Salty Sex Cast with Mariah and friends. Minimize the fear. Expand your awareness.
Hello, all you sexy souls, and welcome back. It's Mariah here, and I have another fun friend, Michael.
Hello, how's it going?
Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for letting me convince you to come on.
I will admit, when you first started messaging me, I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, I didn't even, because when you message me through the podcast, I can't click on your profile to see if we have like friends in common because it's through the podcast, not my personal page. And so I was like, I don't even know who this is. And so that's why I was kind of like almost interrogating you. I was like, tell me more. What are you saying? Blah, blah, blah. But just because I, obviously want quality guests. I want quality content and things like that. And so that was something that I was like, I feel like such a dick now. I was so mean at first, but I was like, who the fuck is this person? But then after you were like, hey, I know this person. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, you're part of the circle. You're good. Come on.
Part of the circle, yeah. No, you're an investigating person, so it's okay.
We have had a lot of people contact us to try to get not interviews, but auditions for porn.
Yeah, yeah, we've had a few different, things that it's
not what this is?
Oh, shit.
Took my Cialis, too.
What would we title this porn? What would we title? Now I need like a title.
Eminem.
The Salty Sex Cast.
I was going to try to think of like Murder Shack Studios, something like that, but I don't know.
The Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go. Yeah, because we're out here in the fun boonies. We have some goats as soon as you pull up, and you're like, okay, this is fun.
Yeah, they're special.
Special. Anyway, so human design.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump right into it.
Okay, let's do it.
Because I have questions and it's fascinating too. So I have a feeling we're going to be hanging out in the meat of that content a lot.
Okay.
So first time I even heard of it, I was like, cool, human design. That's such a broad term. It could look like anything, right? But then the more you went into it, I was like, okay, some of these things are clicking and I can see a lot of overlap in other theories and ways people approach some of those harder, concepts that aren't quite tangible, that you can't quite measure or put your finger on, right? So we use a lot of different theories and approaches to explain the phenomena that happens internally, externally, how we contact people, how we interact with others and ourselves, right?
Yeah.
So now that I've been super broad, you can hone us in on what human design is.
It's your own personal roadmap, kind of, or instruction maintenance manual for those who are mechanically inclined, I guess, but it's just a manual of who you are as yourself. It explains why you do what you do, why you think the way you think, talk the way you talk, why you are maybe an emotional basket case, or maybe why you have so much confidence, or why you don't have any confidence, or why you're always stressed out, or just things like that. It just kind of explains to you why you are the way you are, and it explains your conscious and subconscious reactions to certain things in life. So
I like that part too, because how hard is it for us to tap in and build our self-awareness? So that subconscious, is subconscious typically, right? Out of sight, out of mind. We're not really, it's in our mind all the time, but horrible way to describe it. But it's one that people don't really think of, and try to bring into things to make sense, to connect the dots, to make sense of their world, really.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your start of this journey with human design.
All right. Well, so I've been seeing a life coach for off and on throughout the last year and a half or so, and she would give me a lot of instructions and things to do, and it wouldn't last very long. It's like a week later, I'm back to where I was before, and I never quite understood things, I wasn't living my authentic life. And the more I stopped living my authentic life, I just kept building into more turmoil. And I got to the point where I didn't want to live with myself anymore. I was dark and I didn't want to carry on. And so she brought this to me and showed me my human design, and it was within seconds of her telling me, my whole entire life just clicked. Everything made sense of why I talk the way I talk, why I react to different things, why I'm so confused sexually, or why was confused mentally, and it just made sense as to my wife, why she does the things she does too. And I wanted to go home. I wanted to just live life, and I wanted to just share it with everybody. It was a magical moment for me. And when I bring it to people, I mean, it's not new, but it's new for me, and a lot of people I've brought it to, and they all say, yes, that is me. That explains who I am, and that makes so much sense why I do what I do. Brought it to my mom. It's helped save some of her relationships that she's been into. So, and it's helped a relationship with her own kids. So it
doesn't even have to be intimate relationships. It can be any type of interaction with others. And, we're social creatures.
Yeah.
So how we can connect with others is really, really important. But what really connected with you and where you've taken it the most is that sexual side of a person.
Yeah, that was where I made the most connection, because I come from a non-monogamous type lifestyle. So, and that a lot of it made sense to me, and then some of it did not make sense to me at all. And my partner, she had a different version of non-monogamy than I did, and I was not making any connections there. I could not understand it. I tried really hard, and I was lost. And so now I have a lot more understanding, a lot more compersion towards all that. So it's changed a lot of me on the inside, and I'm so much more calm-ish.
Well, you can probably be in tune to what's going on internally and why you're reacting to things, making more sense and not having just this strong feeling and nothing to do with it, right?
Yeah.
And so for those who haven't really listened to our polyamory episodes or anything about that, let's kind of go into compersion just really quick before we get lost in new words, right? So,
oh yeah,
no, you're totally fine. So compersion is the happiness you get, and correct me if you have a different definition, of when you see your partner happy with someone else.
Yeah, and I just kind of associate it with, I can just, no matter, I can be happy when she's happy, even just in life, no matter whether it's through a relationship or not. So she's just happy, and I can understand why she's happy now. So
that's cool. That's really cool. I'm looking at her over there, being a creep. I was being a creep. I'm sorry, not you.
She's keeping me in check, make sure I don't get out of line.
She has signs like, no, we don't share that story. No, just kidding. But that's really incredible that you were able to tap into something that made so many things strongly connect, not just, oh, okay, I can kind of see some of that and I can see some of that and I'm going to leave the rest. It was something that you fully have been able to open up, that you've learned it and now you're sharing it with others.
Yeah, and I've been able to just hold on to it. Like I said, with my life coach, it's like it would be gone in a week. And some conversations I'd have with my wife is that we'd have a strong connection. We'd talk through it. We thought we made sense. And then a little bit while later, it's all gone back to where it was before. And it's like
that rubber band.
Yeah.
You can stretch it and you think you're good, but as soon as it let go, it's back to this kind of.
And I'm not saying there's no fallback or, but there's more growth direction than there is destruction of relationships. So
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, at least in my opinion. She might be shaking her head no or something, but
So for yourself, you found a lot of benefit, been able to share it with others, and where you gave me my human design map. What do we call
map,
it?
chart, yeah,
Chart.
whatever.
That's it. Okay, words. So you started to go through and explain a few things, and then I was like giggling. I'm like, oh, yep, and then it was like, oh, that's really true. There was quite a few things that I really, really connected with. And then other things I, probably just hadn't been able to put my finger on. So I thought it was really interesting where, and I'm going to try to explain it and then you correct me.
Okay.
Where you have these connections areas, and they're either open or closed.
Yeah.
And so the close is where you're kind of more like, this is how I am. Right?
Yeah. Defined. Yeah.
There we go. And even with outside interference, I'm probably not going to change too much of this. But if I have an open area, undefined, I'm a little bit more influenced by outside things. I'm more aware. I can probably grow and change in that area a little bit more. Like
flow in and out. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's not that we're wishy-washy creatures, but it's more of, hey, I have an opportunity to see more, but there's other places that, and can you imagine if every area was open, undefined? That'd be scary. That's scary.
Yeah.
I mean, not scary. I'm sure they're probably fine in it because that's that person. But for me, I need some consistency somewhere.
Yeah.
So I find comfort in the things that I'm closed to or defined on because I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah,
like,
something to latch onto. It's an anchor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tried and true, or, trusty, handy dandy, whatever.
Yeah.
And then so that was my shitty description. Tell me how I did. Correct me.
No, you did pretty good. Yeah, we have areas, and I'm pointing at me as like, it's my body. So we have areas throughout our whole body because for what I've been learning is that as much as our mind is a part of our life, it's not in control of us. Our mind is more of a memory recall type thing. So it's...
and mine misfires quite often.
Well, it's like... We were reading a book one time, like our mind is there to remind us that this is very similar to what's happened in your past. Be cautious of it, type thing. Get that it's not actually what's going on. So it shows that if we listen to what our body's reacting to versus our mind, then we are going along the right path, I guess. So
Right.
Yeah. One of those momentary blocks there. my brain. Sorry.
Yeah, you're right. So I'm like, recall that I don't do well. I mean, one of the classes I took in my undergrad was mind-body connection. And it was the whole reason I changed my entire career trajectory.
Anomic aphasia.
No, that one I knew the word. I just couldn't say it.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
But I'm looking straight at you. I'm like, Brady, jump in. Anyway, where I completely changed things because that made a lot of sense. The mind-body connection, where I can control a lot of my feelings and thoughts and being in tune and knowing that I'm not, like this, my brain isn't like driving everything, right? It's not like a remote control type thing that's just, and my body's just moving because my brain says, technically, but there's more connection than that.
Yeah, and that's what it's helped me out a lot because I was always in my own head, and so realizing that, all right, the feeling I'm feeling is true versus what my thoughts are. So, the story I'm saying inside my brain is not really what's happening. So
we feel it when, our throat gets tight or our stomach, right? Like, these sensations are typically there for a reason. So now kind of somewhat getting everyone acclimated to what this is, because it's hard to be tangible. Some people probably roll their eyes when you're explaining it, I'm sure.
It can sound woo. It can sound like out of this, well, that's crazy. We gotta do some hocus pocus stuff too.
You're the only person in my life I've ever heard use woo in the way that I understand it, and that makes me so happy.
So, sexuality.
Yes.
Tell me how that really connected with that area.
Okay. So, in the human design, in my own personal life, I always thought love, sex, and romance was all the same. And in the human design, it separates it, showing that they are completely different. Like there's a place called your G center. That's all about your love, direction in life, and your identity. So and then there's a section about romance, and then there's a section about passion. And so it's all just separated differently, and they're not the same. You can have passion and romance with somebody, but not necessarily have a defined love for them. So
Interesting.
and so it made a lot more sense to me. So
That probably where I was always I'm a cold-hearted bitch, right? And we finally, after podcasting guests and taking other questionnaires and stuff, I was like, oh, I'm aromantic. I don't need romance. But now I'm kind of curious what the human design says about that area for me.
yeah,
Is it just a defined spot where I'm like, done? No one bother me on it.
so like within the human design, it's like there is the basic overview we're talking about, and then it breaks down into like further things. So you might be, say, open in one area, but you have some defined things about you in that area so you may not, if I'm talking about, well, an open person would be open to this or that, but you're like, well, I don't agree with that. Well, it's probably because somewhere in your chart it's showing that you have a defined way of in that situation in your life. So I do have a little note here. Let me grab it real quick. It'll help you.
Yeah. Because we left some things that we were gonna talk about for my chart.
Yeah.
For the podcast, because it'd be fun.
My old days are just kicking in right here. All right, I'm going to use my phone. It's on there. It's more clear. You may want to edit this portion.
You're totally fine. And commercial break. The podcast was brought to you by patreon.com/saltysexcast.
Find us by typing it directly in. Don't use the search bar because it's adult content.
Yeah.
And don't forget murdershackstudios@gmail.com.
Yeah. Brady's renting out the studio. He's got it all nice and pretty.
I've got a whole nother podcast getting ready.
Yeah. I got this beautiful sign. Wonderful sign right here, just so everyone knows, because I had to claim the whole studio for me, but then we're going to put it where you can move it. So I guess I'll share.
I'll make it work for you.
It's okay.
I just wish you wouldn't show up with it right when we need to start recording and be like, here's a construction project.
Do what I say.
I do.
Hi, thanks. All right. Sorry, was that enough time for you?
It was perfect.
It's so hard to read anything because the lights are a little bright. So you're like, oh, yeah, not going to happen.
Yeah, so there's the term called the solar plexus that deals with like romance and things like that. You are open in that, so which means that you would. That's also deals with a lot of emotions too. So you would feel people's emotions. But as far as romance, there is something in your chart that actually indicates romance for you, and it shows that you are a romantic person. It's right here.
It's right here.
Yeah,
it's right.
It's
Lies.
not lying.
I'm just kidding.
No. Yeah, it basically shows that you are more defined in needing some type of romanticism. So some people might say that they are against romance, and so you may share the same definition as somebody, but they're like, no, I definitely do not like romance. So
maybe it's my definition of what I think romance is.
Could be. It's just whatever you identify as romance, that's what you like or want romance. Some people are like, no, I don't want it. They're defined in the opposite of you, even though they share the exact same definition in their chart. So
that's so interesting. Yeah. All right. So for other people that you've seen, how would that look differently?
As far as
like their solar plexus and romance and things, just so we'll stay here for a minute with that.
So say someone that's defined in their solar plexus, like they have a very fixed way of dealing with their emotions. Like they have an emotional wave. Like they can go from calm to pissed off just like that. And there's some people that it takes them time to get mad at something. And there's people that they can just be calm and melancholy. They'll have a day of happiness, maybe a day of sadness, and they're back to being calm. So they're defined that way, means they know their emotional waves they're going to go through. People like me and you, we're open. We will experience a broad range of that, and it's usually based upon whoever we're around. Whoever is having an emotional day, we're probably feeling their emotion. So,
Gotcha.
And it would go that way as far as like.
I could totally see that.
Yeah, like that. Well, I'm looking at it right now, so I like the image of it as you're explaining it too. So that's helpful.
Yeah. So And it would go that way with romance. If you're around somebody that's really romantic, might identify and say, "Wow, I like this person's romance." You know, you would,
Or maybe I'm getting too much.
or too much, yes. And you could get a burnout factor from it too if they're too romantic to you.
Okay. That explains more. That explains more. I just had a little aha moment.
Yeah, the pieces fell into place.
Right? I'm like, oh, you're choking me. Oh, go away.
So somebody that's open, you take whatever. Here's the woo part. Energy that's out there in the world. So whatever energy, say, between me and you is, you're open, you are going to just amplify it. So if your husband is pouring on his romance, you're taking his romance and you're just amplifying it. You're feeling it even more than he's presenting it. So you might have a form of rejecting it a little bit because it's just too much for you to handle at that time.
That sounds I connect very much with that.
Sounds like a breakthrough.
That was a breakthrough. Oh my
Knowing
God.
Mariah, yep.
Yeah, it really does, because I'm always so uncomfortable when anyone does turn it up even a little bit, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so weird. I don't know what to do. Go away. Like, if I don't look at you, you'll disappear,
Bathroom
right?
break.
Yeah.
A bathroom break. No, so when you're feeling these overwhelming feelings of whatever, it's an emotion or the romance or whatever, when you feel that, just leave the room. Say, oh, I got to go get a drink of water. It's downstairs in the kitchen. And when you feel that feeling kind of die off a little bit, now you can prepare yourself for that overwhelming romance I have for you. And maybe, you're like, all right, the petals are on the bed. The candles are lit. Okay, I got this.
I don't think there's not enough rooms in Mariah's house for that.
I was just like,
For petals on the bed.
I'm just kidding. No, you're but yeah, no, it's even that, or if it's even like someone saying I love you to me, I'm yeah, thanks. Like, even that is a lot. And it was funny because I had a friend who was saying that to my daughter. They're really close, and she was like, oh, I love you, and my daughter's like, and she was like, oh, she's your daughter. And I was like, I know, I'm sorry, I should probably model better with like that, or compliments, anything like that. I'm just like, thanks. I don't know. Like, especially if it's, just compliment, like someone off the street, like, oh, cute shoes or something, whatever, that's fine. But like someone's like truly like saying like, your eyes are beautiful, or I don't know, something weird. I can't even like pretend to give an example of that. No, it's too much, and I don't know what to do, and I'm just like, oh.
So that's kind of like along the lines of like a self-worth type feeling. So there's your heart area, which is open for you as well. So it could go both ways. Like for me, I'm open in the heart area. I crave the compliments, right? I live for them. You might be somebody, you're open, you're like, no, I don't want that, but it might change just depending on maybe the person or how it's brought to you. So
yeah, like I like I prefer someone saying, like, I validate your work and the effort you've put into something, like that kind of compliment. Holy shit, that'll like make me work so much harder, right?
Okay.
But if it's just something that is, I don't know, that I'm either like naturally good at or just was there, I'm just like, cool, thanks. I don't know, it doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
Probably it's the effort. So maybe that's just how I'm taking it. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I get, everybody handles compliments differently. So,
they do.
I wish it would tell me in there. It might one day if I research it. Maybe I'll read it tomorrow. I'm like, damn.
Just connected. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so.
So there's the romance, the love.
Yeah.
So the definition of the love area.
Yeah. So love, that's just like, so there's some people that like, that if they are open in the area where love, what they call the G center, if they're open in that, they probably are the type of people that could be in a relationship or doesn't really matter if they're in a relationship. But they feel either way on it. They probably want one. The idea of being in a relationship sounds great to them. They would look for it, but they're also perfectly content without being in one. And so someone that's defined, they would probably say maybe I want to be in a relationship or I do not want to be in a relationship. So defined goes either way. So I'm defined there. I want to be in a relationship. I need that. I need that consistent love in my life. So that's
Gotcha.
And I recognize that from the beginning, so I didn't need a chart for that one. I
Didn't need a chart. That's so okay. So, and then there was a third area.
Yeah, your desires.
Desires.
Yeah, desires, passion. So desire also comes around like the solar plexus area too. So there's an area on your chart. I'm gonna pull it up here. So it talks about you have sexual feelings and yearnings, a certain burning for a sexual.
Yeah, I'm horny all the time. Mhm.
Okay.
I don't know if any of us didn't know that one, but okay.
I mean, yeah, I guess somebody could probably watch a few of your podcasts and figure that out.
Yes, yeah.
But it's spelled out right here that it says you have a yearning for that, and so you would naturally be drawn to somebody that is always has fantasies or fantasizes about life or things like that. You would, because you have a yearning for some type of sexual desire, you would connect with somebody that had fantasies.
Interesting.
So,
I can see that.
yeah. Of course, while it's in my head, you also have an area in your chart that talks about potential sexual boredom.
Shocking.
This is where I'm like, oh, yeah, a little bit sometimes.
Yeah. So you would be attracted to somebody that would be able to make sex not boring.
I did just bring that up to my partner. Not that I'm bored, but I was like, let's mix things up. Let's write a list. Let's do a bucket list. And I was like, even if it's positions or something, but I was like, routine is not my thing.
It's funny.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
It's funny that routine's not your thing, but you would also have a spreadsheet. Yeah.
And
Like
have
both.
points
Yeah.
and things that I can like cross it off.
Some sort of a scorecard.
Oh, yeah.
After action reviews.
a competitive
so next
nature.
time, do a little bit more of that. You scored okay over here. Oh, that makes someone feel so
Sound like
bad.
a sportscaster.
Oh my gosh, how funny is that? You should film yourself and then narrate it.
As a sportscaster for your own sex life?
Do it, Brady.
I don't think Jamie will let me film that.
And just a bit outside.
I feel like this needs to happen. Oh my God, knock it off. You got one button. You already pushed it. You're done.
So the good thing about that is what the boredom is it's not your partner's fault. It's not anything he's doing wrong. It's just something inside of you that you need change. And that's one of those connections that could help him out, saying, God, well, what am I doing wrong? I'm why am I boring? It's like, no, you're not boring.
No.
It's just natural for me to need a change up. Mm-hmm. I need a new toy. I need something else introduced today. Whether it's a pink flower hanging above the I don't know. Whatever your kink is, I don't know.
Not that.
It's not that.
Not flowers.
So
Well, I've noticed even myself, like during our intimate times, I'm like making jokes and giggling. And I was like, that's me like trying to change things instead of offering something. I'm making jokes and shit, and which I'm sure is not very fun. No one wants to fuck a comedian, right? So.
Uh-oh.
depends.
Uh-oh, what?
Well, I like to think I'm pretty funny.
So.
I'll turn the attention on me just a little bit.
Yeah.
So one of my sexual things on my chart is attentiveness and being attentive in bed or in a sexual situation. I pay a lot of attention to the person I'm with. So
That gives you energy to be able to provide something with that for them. Kind of, like you hear the giver and receiver. I'm guessing attentive is not more that you're like, I have to give you everything, but I am aware of what you're wanting or needing in this scenario, right? Attentive,
reading the body language, things like that. That was good. That was bad. Probably should give a little bit more of that one.
So people can't fake it around you.
No, that's true. Because I am very aware of, all right, what's going on? And it's like, and of course, being open, I personalize everything. I take it, it's all my fault.
Oh, that's
So-
hard to walk around with.
It is. So and so I deal with that. So I can shut down during sex thinking it's something I did wrong. And it's not. It's something that she's probably just going through, and something is she wasn't able to shake it off before we started
everything. The fucking grocery list. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm sorry. Like now I'm thinking about the stupid groceries and not here right now. So you being aware and arming yourself with that knowledge, how has that changed, improved, or anything for you?
It's helped out quite a bit. I still internalize it, but I can get past it faster. I'm able to have a little bit more understanding. I'm getting to those points faster when I sense that there's something going on physically, mentally, or whatever with my partner that. And I try to just express, I'm like, it's okay. We don't need to keep doing this. But there are times I still take it personally, especially when I'm, having a mental or emotional overload myself. So, and
Having an overload yourself.
yeah, so I can have an emotional overload myself, and then, feeling her emotions, I'm just amplifying it all, and then I will just take it in personally. So but knowing that's the thing, I don't have it doesn't last for hours or days like it could have or has.
And just drain you, deplete you, and worry about it. You're just kind of like, okay, I can be in this moment. I can call it out.
Yeah.
I can move forward. So something you called me was amplifier, right?
Yeah, you amplify it. Yeah.
Okay.
So every open spot in your design is you amplify it back to somebody. So if you're having an argument with your spouse and that anger's in the air, or that bitterness or whatever's in the air, you're amplifying it back. And so they're going to feel that you're even more pissed off than.
Do you feel that, Brady? When you're ornery and I'm even ornery or back
Sounds
to you?
Sounds appropriate, yeah.
Just kidding.
No, I mean, like you're definitely open with people. If you're disappointed in something, you're very straightforward, blunt.
Don't want to waste time beating around the bush. It doesn't really help anybody. Obviously, if I'm trying to save feelings, I try to say things, but sometimes it's just easier to get it out in the open and then move forward, right?
Sure,
So,
certainly.
So other clients that you've worked with, any stories that, obviously protecting their identity, but things that really connected with them?
So some boundaries. Some people have had boundary issues, and usually when you talk to them about their boundaries, it's usually somewhere it's in their open area, because when we're open, we are experimenting all the time. We have to discover our own boundary. So if we're defined in something, I like to use this cliff analogy type thing of fear. So if we're defined and we know we're not going to go near that cliff, we're not even going to go within 10 feet of that cliff because we could fall off. Someone that's open, be like, I'm going to see how close I can get to that.
Push it.
We have to learn our own limit before we back away from the edge of the cliff. All right, 2 inches from the edge was too much for me. Next time it's going to be 3 inches away, so.
Someone can't tell us.
Yeah,
we have to experience that.
Yeah, so you may have a partner that tells you this is a sexual boundary for me, kind of a deal breaker, and you want to honor that. You want to do your best, but you don't identify with it because they identify with it, maybe because they experience it and they never want to live it again. But it's going to be more challenging for you because you don't understand the boundary.
Okay.
So it's going to be harder for you to set the boundary. And so it's one of those communication moments is like, I'm going to do my best to be around that boundary until I learn my lesson. And when you learn that lesson, you can get back on page, but it can be a challenging thing. So some people I've dealt with, they said that they're having boundary issues. So trying to explain to them that that's normal. You will have boundary issues. You just have to take your time to get through that, to figure out, is it a boundary for you? But you also can honor your partner and try to respect that boundary that they put in place.
Yeah.
Or rule. But it all comes down, the human design comes down to living authentically. And there's signs for each type of person. If you're not living authentically, like you are a generator, when you're not living authentically, you would feel frustration. You feel frustrated. And when you're living an authentic life, you have a lot of satisfaction. So those are ways of determining whether you are living an authentic life. I am a different type personality. If I'm not living authentically, it's bitterness, and it comes on pretty quick.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like someone turned on the light switch. I am bitter, either at that person or at myself. So,
Really?
But when I know I'm living authentically, I feel a life of success. So
generator.
What
are some other?
So there's a manifestor, generator, projector, and reflector. And so the generator has two categories. So they would break that down into a manifesting generator. They're kind of a hybrid between a manifestor and a generator.
So for me being a generator,
yeah,
I know when I'm not living authentically because I get frustrated.
Yeah.
That's very true.
So anybody...
Brady's like, yep. And we were doing an episode once a week. That took a lot of energy, and I got frustrated.
Yeah.
So
It's a lot of hard work.
it is. So,
most frustrations would come from your open areas because those are harder to regulate because you're still learning, you're still experimenting. Those are going to be open areas. They call that, so when you're not living yourself, it's called your not self theme. And so there's some key things in there, like, am I doing this for attention, or am I focusing on somebody else's problems?
a lot.
Those are like some not self questions that you would ask yourself. Am I worried about their question, or is it really my question I'm worried about? So
Interesting. So, tell me, with being a generator and one of my open areas, what's something I could maybe watch out for?
all right.
I want to
No,
walk
you're good.
away with something to kind of start focusing on. Not too much, because I'm doing plenty, but
Okay. So as a generator, what that means is that you have the ability, you produce energy within inside yourself. It's just natural.
because I'm better than everyone else. Okay.
Exactly.
I just want to make sure everyone knew that. I'm just kidding.
So 70% of the population are generators.
Oh, well, damn it. Don't make me feel special or anything.
But it is very special. It is a very special thing. So, because within your chart makes you completely different. So,
Yeah, I know.
So
I'm
they-
unique. Cool. I have fingerprints. That's fine. I'm just kidding. I just thought it was super extra special, but that's okay.
so something in your chart as a generator that for frustration.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Brady, at least mute yourself if you're going to sit there and giggle. God. Yep.
So this could be challenging for you as somebody as running a podcast, or so are you trying to answer everybody else's questions?
Probably a little bit.
You might go home and still try to answer everybody's questions, and you get caught up in that, and you would probably maybe find some frustration that you either can't answer their question, or you're just more worried about what's going on in their thoughts or their mind than versus what's going on in your own.
Think about when we cut back episodes.
Yeah.
And I
oh,
was like, dude,
that
this
was
is
so
for your mental health. And you're like, I can't do it. I'm going to hurt all the people.
that was really hard because I wanted to give them more content. I wanted to give them more answers that, hey, we have new guests, really, really fascinating, different perspectives of sexuality. It would have been awesome. And so to cut that back, it's hard. It's still hard.
And what did I say to you?
I have to give to myself before I can give to others.
You got to be
or-
healthy before you can help everyone else.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Brady,
So-
for taking care of me.
Yeah.
So I'm just listening so you guys probably, I don't know anything about Brady, but he is probably, so what the question I gave you was for something that's open in the mind head area. Mm-hmm. And so my guess is it's that Brady is more defined. He has a very fixed way of thinking. He's probably just, this is how things go. This is how it is. That's probably just kind of how he thinks. Mm-hmm. And so he probably can help you out in that way, saying that's not important. Let's focus back in type thing. So, and that kind of brings to natural attraction type things, if you wanted to go there. No, or you can keep going towards your generator. So
Gotcha.
who's running the show here?
Who's running the show?
Oh, it's Mariah. There's
Okay.
no doubt about that. Mariah runs the
I'm
show here. I know.
Yeah, but you make it go round, so
Well, I help with certain things, and then I think you really, in that moment, you needed to be reassured that like you were doing a good thing, but you couldn't if you hadn't pulled back, it would have burned out. Mm-hmm. You would have eventually you'd have been like, fuck this, and took a much larger break than would have been good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and once that frustration builds over time is when you just start shutting down. You start internalizing things. Depression kicks in. Anxiety starts kicking in. Headaches
Or just aggression.
or aggression.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if I can handle or like relate to the others, but
But the stuff was, I mean, it was affecting the show.
yeah, I get
You know,
snappy.
yeah, we were all kind of on edge, and we were trying really hard to continue to do it. And now we're going for quality, not quantity.
Yeah. So then you said attraction. You're attracted to others so if you have a undefined area and they have defined, usually that's because they can kind of anchor you a little bit, right?
Yeah, so you would be naturally attracted to somebody that's defined in an area because I like being open to emotions. I wish I knew exactly how my emotional wave was going to go. I wish I knew I was going to have an explosion, then just be fine, or that I was going to be melancholy, but I can't. So when I'm around somebody that's that way, I'm like, how do you do that? That's so awesome. And then they don't like that either. They want to feel open. So it's
Am I closed or open in that area? I can't remember.
you're open. It's the solar
okay.
plexus. So your emotions would be all over the place ish.
I think I've just had to learn a little bit more of, but I am aware that I feel things heavily.
Yeah.
And so I've worked on that.
And someone like me that's never ever worked on it, now I'm taking the time to work on it. It makes
Gotcha. Yeah.
I have this desire now I want to fix pattern. I want to know that I'm going to be okay at the end of all this. Mm-hmm. So
That's cool. So attraction for that. But tell me how this has maybe led to non-monogamy for some.
okay. Yeah. So like your open centers, you may have an attraction to that, but that might not be like the driving factor that attracts you to somebody. And it's not, sometimes the attraction is not necessarily physical it's just something that there's something you just like about that person. You want to hang out with them. You feel comfortable around them, so sometimes the attraction isn't always that way, but sometimes the attraction is a sexual attraction. And so in the chart, they have things called channels and gates. And so a gate is basically one side of the channel. So if you had a gate that was defined and somebody else had the other side defined that you were open in, you would be naturally attracted to them because they are the yin to your yang in that, and you would have that attraction. So it kind of goes along the lines of when people say not everyone can meet all your needs. It shows that your partner might meet the most important need that you have, but there's those moments that you're hanging out with somebody and they are fulfilling that need that your partner doesn't fulfill. So that could be a very good possibility why polyamory or non-monogamy connects with a lot of people,
Because they're looking for that in those areas where a lot of times it is typically, or society says, you only have one person that needs to fill this many areas. Sure, you can have some friends and other things and colleagues that can probably fill in a couple other areas. But that's a lot to try to find in one person.
Yeah, you can get lucky, but you're not going to fulfill all of it. Mm-hmm. And you're always going to, there's things in my chart that you connect, and there's things in your chart that you connect with my wife on. Does that mean you're going to have this physical draw that you guys want to be all with each other? No, but you would probably have great conversation, great friendship, because you complete each other in that area, and you would just be two sisters.
There's something Brady completes for me.
We're project people.
We have made this joke for so long that we are so similar in other areas, but I'm kind of seeing, I wonder if it's just that other side. But it was so funny. I had people over a couple of days ago and we were playing a game. I was so excited because I made up this game. I lost fucking sleep on this.
It was a cool game.
I was laying down and I was like, oh, we could play this game and it could look like this. And this is how people get points. And this is how the winner would blah, blah, blah. Because we were having people over to the house. And the first people that came by and I was like, yeah, I'm trying to explain the rules. And they were like, we don't know what we can do. Because I even titled it. It's called Challenge the Champion.
All right.
And I thought it was so creative. You're supposed to pick something that you feel like you're pretty good at, but not amazing that people won't challenge you on, right? So, like if you're arm wrestling, you don't want to be the strongest because no one will challenge you. But if you're like, I could probably take you. Because if they challenge you and they win, they get your point. If they challenge you and they lose, you get their point. So you want people to challenge you so you can get their points too. Anyway, lost sleep on this, trying to think of this game. And then I was trying to explain it to the other people. And I was like, yeah, just pick like a talent or something that, a party trick that you can do, something kind of funny. Can you catch food in your mouth? I don't know. And they were like, we don't know. And I was like, well, I probably should have brought props or something. That would have been funny. Not 10 minutes later, Brady comes in and I'm trying to explain the game because they all have to write their name and their skill on the board. And Brady's like, I should have brought props. And the whole room just started laughing. It was so great. So anyway.
No, there are things in there that it points it out. Like there's somebody that has ideas but they just don't know how to get them going. And then there's somebody that completes that they take your ideas and they put them to work. And those usually are like, either good relationship partners or they're good business partners.
Yeah.
So it would work if you wanted to interview somebody and you really need this.
Oh yeah. You're always trying to balance out, your strengths and weaknesses and your skill set. And so that's what I really like about this concept is it's not that you have to find those people, but now that you're aware, you know how you work. And if you are both open or both defined, it's not like, oh, we're not going to work out. Like the zodiac signs, like, oh, I shouldn't date you, because you're zodiac sign kind of thing. It's not really that. It's more of, I'm aware of it. And now I just know I need more energy to work on this. I need more energy to, work on my emotional intelligence or my, how I react to things or whatever.
Yeah, it gives more focus. I like it. I like being able to have just focus on what's going on instead of I am screwed up. What do I do?
Yeah. It's not me, it's you, or like, it's not you, it's me.
Yeah. So now there's sometimes during conversations, I say to myself, all right, I know where that's coming from. I know what she's talking about. I just start calming down. And I'm talking like I get mad or bitter fast or something like that. But I guess I just said that earlier, so we should. But it just gives me a chance to just be a listener sometimes. Sometimes I don't. I am naturally a fixer, so I like to fix things. So that's very challenging for me. So
it's hard. And then you take on their problems as your own, and it's your responsibility to make them happy or to solve the problem or whatever it is. I very much relate to that feeling and then feeling frustrated when it doesn't work out. And I'm like, do you not see the effort that I have put in? What the fuck? So that's okay. Yeah. Now that I'm aware, I'm very aware. It's been something I've been working on for years. So
yeah, this design is, I think, changed our relationship quite a bit. It's whether either one of us are fully into it or not, or don't identify with all of it all the time, it gives us something basic to go back to and have an understanding a little bit. So
a language.
Yeah.
I'm understanding this is happening. Again, like I said, it's one of those theories or tangible things that you can go in. I like that it is a visual, so it has like a person and you can see these things, so you can visually connect with a concept that's usually hard to define. You know what it feels like, You know what it maybe even looks like in conversation or interaction. What now? What kind of thing? So that's why I really enjoyed it. And I was like, oh, this is great. Because I think when we first met on Zoom, I was like, hey, I've got a half an hour. Go. And you were like, okay, let me throw out all this information for you. So I'm so sorry again. I put you on this
No, you're
more
good.
than
It
once.
was tough. That's the fastest I've ever gone through this with anybody.
Right. This is my life.
Like,
But so typically, how can people find you and get their human design map chart? I knew I was going to find the word.
I mean, I probably shouldn't say this, but you can get your chart on multiple different platforms for free online, anywhere you want. But understanding it can be the challenge, and maybe coaching you through it all throughout.
I wouldn't
life.
have got that.
So,
yeah, I would have been like, okay, cool, and would have poo-pooed it as another, personality test or whatever.
So you can call me directly, even at my phone number. I'll give that out. It's 801-668-7486. You
You're a
can.
brave man. I'm just kidding.
I'm on there anyway with my handyman business anyway, so not a plug. But so it's okay. So yeah, you can call or text. Text is preferred because I can get to it when time's good.
Mountain time.
Yeah, and I do have a Facebook page, Life Coaching by the Human Design by Michael Sampson. I may have said that wrong, but I'm on there too, so I can guide you to that if you want it. And I'm putting different things about different open areas or just different thoughts about who you are and things like that. So I just to kind of give a inspirational thought for you that day.
Yeah, so people can follow it and they can connect to it. And like any tool, I feel like coaching always uses a lot of different types of tools, but now it's how does that apply to me and have somebody help me with the applicable steps. Because it can be overwhelming when you're like, oh no, I'm open in all these areas. I should just stop now, kind of thing.
Just give up. No.
Yeah. So that's where you come in and really help kind of break it down, help them focus on a priority and make sense of it.
Yeah. And open is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
That's where we receive most of our education. I mean, if you're afraid you're open in the head and you might come across as a wishy-washy, always changing your mind thing, Albert Einstein was open in his head. Supposed to be one of the most intelligent people.
That's why he was so smart, because he was just taking stuff in.
He was open to all the learning.
Yeah.
And someone's defined might be like, no, I trust my way of learning.
Gotcha.
That's a little dramatic, but yeah.
I don't know. There's some people out there like, whatever. You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're closed. Defined.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And so
their little
You're getting good.
Their little shape is colored in.
yeah, see,
That's what it looks like.
you're grasping it. It's awesome. It's cool to see the excitement when people understand and it fits. So,
Especially with relationships and strong feelings of love, romance, sexuality, or desire.
Yeah.
That's it. The three, right?
yeah.
Those can be really confusing and very, very hard when you're not sure what's going on. So those are the ones that you kind of have.
And we can add another one in, sexuality. It points that out in there as well. So some people are defined in their sexuality. So that's why they may have a disagreement with somebody that is LGBTQ, or they might have a very good understanding. So sometimes you're defined based upon your conditioning in life, and you're conditioned from birth to be this way. And if you're defined, it's going to be hard to break that conditioning. Being open, the conditioning is easier to break down because you're now experimenting it on your own instead of the conditioning you have. So
That's really cool.
yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot to be thinking about and everything. Michael, what else would you like all of our listeners to walk away with today?
Don't be hard on yourself. Just realize that what you're going through is probably normal and natural. And if you can look back in life, you would probably have an attraction to somebody all the time. You're always attracted to somebody, and it shouldn't be a threat in life. So,
Well, I think that's a strong word too. We hear attraction and we're like, oh, immediately that's a romantic or an intimate relationship, when really it's more like magnetized, like pulling in. Like
Yeah.
someone is always pulling you in, like that person across the room, and you're like, I want to know them.
And it's funny,
Whatever reason.
That's how they describe it. It is a magnetic pull.
Oh yeah.
When you get within so many feet of somebody, there's just something about them. You just pull in together.
You want to know more, you start talking, you just find excuses to spend time with them, whatever it is. It can probably be so many different reasons, and depending on whatever that balance is between the two of you, and I'm sure it'll be. So I think that's really cool, because that makes a lot of sense, because there's some people that you just want to be around.
I call them murder pixies.
Tell me more.
Have you ever seen Gothic Tinkerbell?
No, friend.
That's pretty much, anyone who's ever seen Gothic Tinkerbell, that's pretty much what all my like crazy pull people look like.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they look like
you have a type.
Yeah. Yep.
That's awesome. Where can they connect with you? You had your phone number, Facebook.
Yeah, so far that's where I'm at. I'm developing website and Instagram, stuff like that. But,
So much fun. It's a lot of work. It's a whole nother job.
Yeah. So, just reach out to me. We can set up either an online meeting or meet in person.
Local folks preferred, or are you open to anyone?
I've ran charts for people in Colombia, and then
That's awesome.
and just throughout the United States. So it's
Okay.
it's all I'm open.
Diversify. No, I'm just kidding. Awesome. Well, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter at Salty Sexcast.
Did you say something about an Instagram at one point?
Instagram. Okay, everybody, write it down.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause this is really complicated, because we get shadow banned all the time if you have sex in anything on Instagram. So it's salty.s.e.x.cast. I had to think about it. Yeah, Salty Sexcast. A bunch of little periods in between. We're on there. Patreon. We absolutely love our patrons. They get some great content. They get some fun stuff. So that's patreon.com/Salty Sexcast. And Gmail, if you want to join the conversation, if you have questions. We love questions, because usually if somebody has a question, we try to find a guest that can answer really a lot better than I can. So that's saltysexcast@gmail.com. And please like, share, subscribe, follow, do the things and the stuffs, and we love you all. You're not the boss of my body.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Salty Sexcast. Ready for round 2? Find us on Facebook.